want to just thank you for the blessings that you put on top of this parish and on the students and the teachers and the faculty and all the employees that make this thing happen, Lord. We just want to lift up Miss Kenny and Miss Dimon, Lord, as they battle cancer, Lord, and Stacy as he has heard about the clot in his knee, Lord, and we know that you're the great physician and that you just put your great hands upon those situations, Lord, and have your will in those situations. Lord, just bless our conversation as we do the will of our constituents tonight, Lord, and may they honor your name. In our precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentlemen, item 1.02, approval of the minutes of the regular session of the board for January 20th, 2022.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Brotherton, second by Mr. Dean. Please vote.
You gotta be fast.
Vote passes unanimously. Item 1.03, approval of the agenda for the regular session of the board for February 3rd, 2022.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Newman,
second.
second by Mr. Bullard. Please vote.
Y'all aren't voting over there?
I think that's everybody that's present. Vote.
Sorry. My button didn't work.
Motion passes unanimously. We do not have any recognitions or presentations this evening. And moves us to item 3.01, request possible amendment of Bossier Parish School Board COVID-19 screening protocols, presented by Jason Rowland, Assistant Superintendent of Administration.
Thank you, President Bass, Superintendent Downey. Thank you guys for the opportunity for us to take a look at our COVID protocols. I want to first of all thank our COVID task force team, Curtis Elementary Principal Terry Bird, W.T. Lewis Principal Lisa Burns, Benton High Assistant Principal Whitney Clark, Bel Air Principal Alicia Colson, Superintendent Downey, Cope Middle School Principal Judy Grooms, Benton Middle Principal Dr. Kyle Machin, Houghton Elementary Principal Andrea Spinney, Parkway High School AP Assistant Principal Stephen Verbka, and Houghton Middle School Principal Richard Warren. Also, our Administrative Committee Chair, Mr. Dennis Bamberg, has worked closely with us on this project. In the proposal that we submitted to you, just want to focus on a couple things that we were directed, first of all, to take a full look at our COVID protocols, and we did that. We went all the way back into August and looked at everything that we'd put together to see how we could find ways to update, modify, or purge anything that were no longer of use. And so I just bring your attention to a few things in the new proposal, or in the adjusted proposal, which are, we brought the central themes of mitigation forward, that in the way that we're dealing with COVID protocols now. We included them in this proposal. Also, responding to close contacts, we include a parent-guardian choice. Responding to close contacts for the staff, becomes a staff choice. Responding to close contacts to include updates, modifications for household contacts or close contacts, and also responding to close contacts that include an update for an LHSA return to play or extracurricular activities. Are there any questions?
Mr. Bamberg, I think you made the motion last time.
Yeah, and I got fewer notes, so I'll be a little bit shorter than I was last time. But first of all, I want to thank Coach Rowland and his team. Man, that was a great group of individuals we put together that freely shared their thoughts about our COVID policies and what they were dealing with on a daily basis with this. We started this process weeks ago because we had so many students and employees out that basically were not sick. So the students were getting further and further behind, in their studies, and our employees were using days when they were not sick. We've had a meeting with the COVID admin team to tackle this issue in our parish. And my goal from the beginning of this is to get children back in the classroom where they learn best, and our employees back at work doing what they do best, and that's educating children. Coupling that with the safety measures that we are not changing is what I'm proposing to you this evening. So you guys, I believe, all my school board members have received a document on January 28th from Assistant Superintendent Rowland. A couple things to highlight that are not changing, that I'm not changing in my thoughts here, is the cleaning and disinfection efforts. We're still going to continue the cleaning and disinfection efforts that we've been doing. Physical distancing is still being exercised to the greatest extent possible, and we are still going to contact trace, so parents or guardians will be notified if their student is in close contact with a COVID positive case. So since you have all seen that document, had a time to review it, I would like to use that document as a starting point for my motion. I would like to approve that document with the following amendments. Everywhere in the complete document, there is a requirement of wearing a face mask or face covering to be changed to well-fitting face coverings, recommended but not mandatory, except the section named transportation, because this is due to a presidential executive order for them to wear masks on the bus. The second part of that is under the subsection household close contacts and LHSAA return to play. The parent guardian choice will apply to quarantining or remaining in attendance. So for those of you in attendance tonight that didn't get the document that we're working from, I'll just kind of break it down to what this motion is meaning tonight. It means that if you have COVID, you basically stay home for 5 days, or symptoms, you stay home for 5 days. It's the parent choice to return on day sick if you're symptom-free, with the recommendation to wear a well-fitting face covering, but it's not mandated. If you are close contacted and contacted from the school, whether from school or from home, the parent has the choice on the student returning to school, and once again, a well-fitting face covering is recommended but not mandated. So this applies to students and employees. Any questions?
I would like to make a motion that we move forward with accepting these.
I have a motion by Mr. Bamberg to change this
With the original, yes, I would like
Man.
to second that motion with the amendments that Mr. Bamberg has recommended.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Bamberg and a second. Board discussion. Anybody have any comment? Mr. Rowland, is that clear enough? We can implement that by when, if we vote to approve? By Monday?
All we're asking is the opportunity to speak to the employees about it, the principals, and then we're ready to go Monday.
Okay, good. We do have public comment. David Crockett wants to speak on item 3.01. He is a parent, looks like Bossier High School. Mr. Crockett, 3 minutes. No, he'll keep it.
Yeah, David Crockett from North Bossier, and I have a 15-year-old daughter in school, and she's only missed one period of absence from this, so she's been less affected than the other kid. I just was moved mostly by the kid that stood up and spoke, and I think it was kind of like a God thing that he was here to say that, and that affected me more than anything. I'm sorry that some of the people who were here that spoke out emotionally about looking at the science, but that's what I did, and that's why I sent you all. I think you all received the attachments that I sent to you from the CDC. We're basically with Omicron at the point of where there are almost 0 deaths per 100,000 for children at this age. So it's really not our children that are at risk. And I thought that the things that don't come out, you know, when you don't get to speak in the order after people have spoken, sometimes you can't address things like when we have a COVID policy that has the unintended consequence of sending kids home to their grandparents, which is every time I go to the doctor, who's taking the kids to the doctor? You know, who's taking care of them when the parents are at work? It's usually the grandparents. So I thought it was kind of, you know, this is not Delta. This is not original COVID. And what you're proposing is reflecting what COVID is today. I mean, we almost have, if you dig into the CDC statistics, excess deaths and excess effects on the whole country, which are what we would normally not see. These are the excess deaths from COVID are really almost like what you would have from a regular flu season. And I appreciate what you did. I would not have even spoke. I hope most of the board does support it. I'm really sorry that the whole board was not here, because I think we needed to have almost a unanimous approach to this if we could have had it, so that's a little bit disappointing. But thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for the school participation.
All right. I have a motion by Mr. Bamberg, a second by Mr. Newman. Please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item 3.02, Bossier Parish COVID-19 leave, presented by Jason Rowland, Assistant Superintendent of Administration.
Thank you, President Bass, Superintendent Downey, board members. Just to piggyback off the second document that I provided for you last Friday, this is something we've done in the past. We felt the need to bring it back to you again. Retro January 3rd, 2022, and this proposal goes through June 30th. What we would like to offer you tonight is for you to consider that we would like to give up to 5 COVID days for the employees of the system where they make application based on COVID absences that they've had to incur. We can retro this back to January 3rd for this month. We haven't closed it out yet. So for those employees that were impacted by this in the fall, what we thought a good idea is that, again, this is made by application through June 30. Automatically on June 30, these 5 days will be then allowed to transfer into accrued sick leave, which will allow those employees from the fall to get days back that they may have been impacted by absences with COVID or COVID-related absences. Any questions about the COVID leave policy?
Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for clarification, this will be for employees that can meet the burden of proof for COVID days. It's not for random sick days. It's COVID days, correct?
Well, it's for COVID days going forward through June 30. And then on June 30, every employee, because we can't tell who was out or who wasn't out for whatever reason. If they didn't list it, they didn't have to make an application. They just took a sick day. So in essence, every employee that doesn't use COVID days between now and June 30 will be given 5 sick days to be allotted in their accrued sick leave.
On the board and anybody in the audience and listening on the web understood that anybody that does not utilize or apply for these days and grant them during this semester through June 30th, starting July 1, they will be awarded 5 sick days to go into their normal sick day accrual bank. So and those will be for every employee that does not apply for them and get them now. They will get them going into the next school year. So I want to make sure everybody was very clear with that.
Any other questions?
No. Thank you, Mr. Rowland. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Ms. Brotherton to approve. I have a second by Mr. Bullard. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item 3.03, request permission to issue solicitation, portable bus washing machine, presented by Carrie Douglas, Chief Procurement Officer. Good evening, Ms. Douglas.
Good evening, President Bass, Superintendent Downey, and members of the board. We were approached by the Transportation Department about purchasing a portable bus washing system. This system is estimated to cost about $35,000, which puts us into the competition threshold. So with your permission, we would like to issue solicitations to receive proposals. We'll evaluate those proposals and then bring those back before the board.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Newman. Second by Mr. Bullard. Question from Mr. Bamberg, followed by Mr. Backhouse.
So Colonel Hadd's not going to continue to hold that position? Just kidding.
Mr. Backhouse.
Have we ever checked to see if Sheriff Whittington would allow us to use prisoners to wash the buses since it's public property? Have we ever?
I'm going to defer to Colonel Hadden on that. Don't really know his process on the washing of buses.
The short answer, no, sir. But some of folks may know that I have used prison labor before to clean stadiums and things of that nature, and all those programs have been shut down. So in this particular case, I can go back and ask them, but I can tell you the other programs that we've utilized, we can't use them anymore.
No need to waste your time if you've already had problems with programs like that.
Thank you. Mr. Bullard?
Colonel, before you sit down, you provided a little background on this particular piece of equipment. Would you just share a few of your comments? You've explored this, and there's a reason why you're wanting us to consider.
We have talked, Mr. Bullard and I have talked for a long time about what our buses look like and the quality of the paint. The paint on buses usually lasts about 6 or 7 years. It's very expensive to paint them. All of the painting experts tell you if we can implement a better bus washing preventive maintenance program, it would help the appearance. We've looked at many different programs. One, full car wash like one of our neighboring parishes have. You can spend about $1 million on it and it'll work about 30 to 40% of the time. We've looked at going to local car washes to have our buses cleaned. But we have visited with some school districts in Texas that use this. It's about a 10 or 12 foot machine that you can just push right down the bus all the way around. It takes about 5 minutes to wash a bus, one person. Only uses about 5 gallons of water, costs about $1.17 to wash the bus. And so I think the community will look at our buses a little different in the future than what they have been. Okay. Did I answer that, Mr. Bullard?
Yes, sir. My only comment, I still hope we'll try to put some pressure on our manufacturers to upgrade the quality of their paint.
Yes, sir.
That's the key to maintaining the nice appearance of our buses. It all goes back to the inferior.
Quality of the
I hate to say inferior. It's a good paint, but it just cannot stand up to the exposure past, what, 6, 7, 8 years?
6 to 7 years, yes, sir.
And then we've got basically first-class equipment in a pretty rough-looking package.
Texas. We get the kids there. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Colonel.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item 3.04, request approval of solicitation award 22-41 E-rate Category 1, presented by Carrie Douglas, Chief Procurement Officer.
So we've completed the USAC's E-rate program. We've completed the competition portion of it. The first part is Category 1, which is our WAN and internet services. We received 4 proposals for those services, and after evaluating all of those proposals, the committee recommends that we award both services to Suddenlink, with the superintendent authorized to execute contracts.
A question.
Yes.
Actually, if we don't mind, and Stuart, this might be more towards you. This provider, Suddenlink, is there going to be any issues with our new phone system? I know we have a problem of dropping calls and things like that. Is that more of a hardware situation versus a provider situation?
No, yeah, so all those issues for the most part have been resolved. They're 2 totally different providers. A SIP circuit and an internet circuit are completely different. Okay. Suddenlink is our current internet provider, so there should be no,
okay. Thank you.
No break in services there.
Make a motion to move.
Move forward. Got a motion by Mr. Newman. Second by Mr. Bachhaus. One comment. Can you guarantee that Suddenlink on our side is going to be better than Suddenlink on the residential side? You know, I've taken a few of those calls.
I wish I could.
Okay, just wanted
I'll work on
to
it.
make sure I asked the question, you know.
So,
before
yeah,
we do that.
and to that comment, do we get some type of priority with them for service?
No, you don't.
When the service is down
You
there?
I think Business Sunlink and
Yeah.
Consumer Sunlink are two different entities.
Yeah, so Sunlink's been our internet and WAN provider for 8 years, so
Good.
99.99% uptime. So it's a little different in residential and commercial. Part of this RFP, a really, really important part, is we actually included a component of home internet access. In other words, they got additional points for committing to reach certain residents. They had the addresses of our families. So Suddenlink actually was the only provider that agreed to reach a certain number of homes that they're not already currently at. The other providers didn't, so.
So
it's really
99.99 on the commercials is their response, and it's the other 0.01 is on the residential?
Well, no, that's an uptime, right? So that's an uptime to Bossier Schools,
Okay.
which is all that we can,
I understand.
all that we can control.
I have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item 3.05, request approval of a solicitation award, 22-42, E-rate Category 2, presented by Carrie Douglas, Chief Procurement Officer.
The second part of E-rate is its Category 2 portion, so we competed that part as well. This was for switches and fiber cabling. We received 3 proposals from qualified vendors for these services, and after reviewing those and scoring, we recommend award to Carousel Industries for the switches and the cabling portion to DCS, with the superintendent authorized to execute resulting contracts.
Motion by Mr. Bamberg. Second. Second by Mr. Bertrand. Please cast your vote. Item passes unanimously. Item 3.06, approval of solicitation award 22-49, toilet tissue and paper towels, presented by Carrie Douglas, Chief Procurement Officer.
We issued this RFP to seek tissue, towels, and their corresponding dispensers that are used throughout the district. We received 3 proposals, all from local companies. We formed a committee, we evaluated each one, and after scoring, we're recommending award to Carefree Janitorial for this procurement.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bullard, second by Mr. Dean. Please cast your vote. Item passes unanimously. Item 3.07, request permission to order band uniforms for Plain Dealing High School to be paid from the 2022-2023 General Fund, presented by Carrie Douglas, Chief Procurement Officer.
We'd like permission to encumber a portion of the 22-23 General Fund to purchase band uniforms for Plain Dealing. These band uniforms will be ordered now, however, they will not be received nor paid for until after July 1. Plain Dealing has picked out their uniform. The total cost is $27,284, and that's for 58 uniforms that cost $470 each.
Question? Motion by Mr. Dean,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Bullard, and Mr. Bullard has a comment.
Ms. Douglas, just for clarification, we're not just arbitrarily saying we're going to go buy band uniforms for Plain Dealing. This is an annual. No, we're special. I realize you're special, Mr. Dean. This is an annual disbursement, and we rotate it among the schools so we can assist them in replacing their band uniforms on a regular, recurring basis.
Correct. There is a 10-year plan, and each high school is allowed the opportunity to refresh, replace their current uniforms within that 10-year span.
Ms. Brotherton?
But we have a limit, correct? I think we voted to have a limit of how much they could spend.
Yes,
per
so
uniform.
last year, we set a limit of $485 per uniform with a contingency that it would increase annually with the CPI adjustment. With that adjustment this year is around 7%. And so Plain Dealing's uniform that they created is exactly like the one they have now, and it came in at $470.
Mr. Newman?
You made a comment about this is every 10 years. I thought we've done this about every 5 or 6 years. Each school gets a new set.
I'll go back and check, but I thought that we were on a 10-year rotation where every high school received new uniforms after 10 years. There were a few years where it looks like we skipped a year where no uniforms were purchased, but I can double check that for you.
Get back with me on the 10.
I certainly will.
I thought it was a little bit shorter time frame on that. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item 3.08, request Parkway Traffic Improvements Local Services Agreement presented by Keith Norwood, Supervisor of Planning and Construction, and/or Jason Cottom, Bossier Parish Schools Engineer. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bass, board members, Mr. Downey. This is a subject that's been of concern for some time, which is specifically traffic flow around Parkway High School coming off of Sligo Road Extension, Arthur A. Teague. So the purpose of this motion is to enable us to work with the police jury on the improvement of the public right-of-way coming into the school on Conline Drive and to study some other possible improvements.
So moved.
Whoa, motion by Mr. Newman, second by Mr. Backhouse. Any comment?
This is long overdue. So, thank you.
Oh, you second the long overdue? Okay. Have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item 3.09, report Finance Committee meeting held February 3rd, 2022, presented by Eric Newman, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Committee meeting, the Finance Committee met today at 4:30. We had a quorum here, and we had one agenda item, and that was the presentation of the financial and single audit report for the Bossier Parish School Board and the AUP report for the Bossier Educational Excellence Fund. We all had nice presentations here. Our auditor did a fabulous job alongside Ms. Bamberg and her team, and the committee recommended to accept the audit as presented.
Okay. Item 3.10, item 1 of the Finance Committee meeting, presentation of financial and single audit report for the Bossier Parish School Board and the AUP report for the Bossier Educational Excellence Fund. We have the report from Mr. Newman. Any questions on that? Item 3.10. I'll entertain a motion in a second.
It passed out of committee.
Passed out of committee. Thank you for
We have to
correcting
vote
me.
as a board.
We have to vote as a board. Thanks for correcting me, Mr. Newman.
New guy.
Yeah.
First mistake.
First of many. I'll raise my hand and admit I made it too. So, all right, out of committee,
Did you vote?
please cast your vote. Passes unanimously. Item 3.11, request approval of trip request.
These are in order.
All right. Who made the motion? Mr. Bamberg made the motion, second by Ms. Brotherton. Please cast your vote. Passes unanimously. Item 4.01, announcement, superintendent comments.
Thank you, President Bass. Bossier Parish School Board will be hosting a town hall meeting concerning the April 30th millage renewals. Public is encouraged to attend or watch the live stream. Town hall will be held prior to the next school board meeting at 5 p.m. Thursday, February 17th. Next regular session of the board will be held at 6 p.m. on February 17th. And I know the weather has been the topic of discussion today, and several districts have decided to go ahead and call off school. While we have been in discussions with the Governor's Office of Homeland Emergency Preparation, Security and Emergency Preparation. Also, we talked to the police jury several times. Captain Johnson's been in contact with the Bossier Sheriff's Office. Just recently spoke to Mr. Ford, who's the parish administrator. They will have trucks set up throughout the night to address any icing, if any would occur on any parish roadways or bridges. We will also continue to evaluate the situation and conditions with feedback and information from the Bossier Sheriff's Office and our SROs as early as 4 a.m. in the morning. We've been in contact with Colonel Haddon in Transportation, and we feel like we are very confident that it's not going to be a major issue, but we do want to be able to reevaluate it early in the morning. We've talked repeatedly about lost learning, and we want to make sure that we protect instructional time as much as we possibly can. And so therefore, we're being very diligent with this decision, and even though others have jumped out there and made that decision, we want to have all the information before we finalize our determination.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Downey. Since Mr. Slack is not here, anybody want to jump out there with an adjournment motion?
Sure. There you go.
Well, we got a motion by Mr. Bullard, second by Mr. Brotherton. All those in favor, please cast your vote.
That gave that something to do. That a big